The compound was unusually full that evening. Adana noticed all the signs. Her mother-in-law's tight-lipped expression, the gathering of Obi's uncles under the Udala tree, the deliberate way her husband avoided her eyes during dinner. Adana! Her mother-in-law's voice cut through the evening air like a machete. Come here. The family needs to talk. Adana wiped her hands on her wrapper, adjusted her sleeping 3-month-old daughter Chidima on her back, and walked toward the assembly. Her 5-year-old daughter Kayamika clutched her wrapper, sensing tension. Sit down. Obi's eldest uncle commanded, pointing to a small stool placed deliberately lower than everyone else's seats. The family sat in a semicircle, 7 stern faces staring at her like judges. Obi sat among them, unable to meet her gaze. Adana, the eldest uncle, began, cracking kola nut with deliberate ceremony. We have been patient, very patient, but patience has its limits. Adana's heart hammered. I don't understand, uncle. You don't understand? Her mother-in-law laughed bitterly. 6 years of marriage, 2 children, both girls. Girls, what kind of woman are you? Mama, children are blessings from God. Blessings? Obi's mother stood up, her wrapper flaring with indignation. In this family, we need sons. Men, not these useless girls who will marry into other families and carry another man's name. Adana looked at Obi, silently pleading for him to defend her, to remember the man who had loved her so completely just 6 years ago. 6 years earlier, Obi had knelt before her father's compound, presenting kola nuts and palm wine, declaring that Adana was the only woman his heart desired. She is my moon and stars, he'd said, eyes shining with genuine love. With or without children, she completes me. How quickly moonlight fades. Obi, his uncle turned to him, you are a successful businessman. You have built a fine house. You have cars, land, respect in this community. But what good is all that without a son to inherit it? Do you want your name to die with you? Obi finally spoke, his voice hollow. No, uncle. Then you know what must be done. Adana's blood ran cold. What must be done? Her mother-in-law smiled cruelly. We have found a good girl from a fertile family. Her mother had 6 sons. This one will give you the male children you need. A second wife? Adana whispered, the words choking her. Obi, you would do this? Obi stood up, still refusing to look at her. It's not about what I want, Adana. It's about duty. It's about continuing my lineage. You have failed in your primary purpose as a wife. Failed? Tears streamed down Adana's face. I have loved you. I have managed your home. I have given you 2 beautiful, healthy daughters. Daughters are not sons. Obi's mother shouted. A woman who cannot produce male children is cursed. Perhaps you angered the gods. Perhaps your chi is weak. But my son will not suffer for your inadequacy. Little Kayamika began to cry, frightened by the shouting. Adana pulled her close, tried to shield her from the hatred pouring from her own family. The girl will come next week, Obi's uncle announced. She is already pregnant. The Dibias had confirmed it, a strong male child. Adana's world tilted. Already pregnant? Yes, Obi said coldly. I have been seeing her for 6 months. She is young, fertile, and respectful. Everything you should have been. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. While she had been pregnant with Chidinma, suffering through morning sickness and swollen feet, he had been creating another child with another woman. You have 2 choices. Obi's mother said with finality, you can remain in this house as a servant to the new wife, cooking, cleaning, serving her properly, or you can pack your things and return to your father's house in disgrace. But my daughters will stay here, Obi interrupted. They are Okafor blood, even if they are just girls. You leave alone or you stay and serve. Choose now. Adana looked at Kayamika and Chidinma. Leave them with this heartless family? Never. I will stay, she whispered, her dignity crumbling. Obi's mother laughed triumphantly. Good. Then tomorrow you will move your things to the boys' quarters. The main house belongs to the real wife now. As the family dispersed, Satisfied with their cruelty, Adana sat on that low stool, clutching her daughters, and wept silently. Her marriage was over, her position destroyed, her future uncertain. But she would endure anything, to stay with her children, even if it meant becoming a slave in her own home. Can Adana survive the humiliation that's coming? Will she find the strength to escape? Comment, "Stay strong, Adana," if you're rooting for her. Smash that like button and subscribe. Next chapter reveals a new wife's arrival, and things get worse. You won't believe what happens next. Turn on notifications so you don't miss it. The boys' quarters smelled of old paint and neglect. Adana swept the small room that would now be her prison, tried to make it livable for herself and her daughters. The main house, the one she had decorated with love, the home where she had labored to bring both her children into the world, was now being prepared for another woman, Ani Adana. Her friend Ifeoma burst through the door, breathless and furious. "I just heard. Tell me it's not true. Tell me Obi has not brought another woman into your marriage." Adana continued sweeping, her movements mechanical. "It's true. And you're still here? Adana, have you lost your mind? Pack your things. Come to my house. My husband and I will help you. And leave my daughters with these people." Adana's voice was quiet but firm. "Never." "Then take the girls with you." "Obi will never allow it. He said they're Okafor blood. If I try to take them, he'll use his family's influence. I'll lose them completely." Adana finally stopped sweeping and looked at her friend. "At least this way, I can protect them." Ifeoma wiped tears from her eyes. "This is not protection. This is destruction. You're destroying yourself." Before Dana could respond, car horns blared outside, 3 vehicles driving into the compound with unnecessary fanfare. "They're here," Adana whispered. The compound erupted in celebration. Obi's family members ululated, drums began to beat, and palm wine flowed freely. Adana watched from the window of the boys' quarters as Obi helped a young woman out of his car. She couldn't have been more than 22, her belly already swollen with pregnancy, her face painted with the arrogance of victory. Ngozi, the new wife, wore expensive lace and gold jewelry that Adana recognized, gifts Obi had promised to buy her, but never did. The girl's eyes swept the compound with ownership, already claiming everything in sight. "Where's the old wife?" Ngozi's voice rang out, deliberately loud. "I want to see the woman who couldn't give my husband a son." Adana's mother-in-law laughed. "She's in the boys' quarters where she belongs." "Adana, come greet your senior." Every step toward that gathering felt like walking to her own execution. Kayamika held her hand tightly, confused by the celebration, by the strange woman, by her mother's tears. "Ah, so this is her." Ngozi looked at Dana up and down with contempt. "You're older than I expected. No wonder you couldn't produce sons. Your womb is old and tired." The gathering laughed. Obi stood beside Ngozi, his hand possessively on her shoulder, a smile on his face that Adana had once thought was reserved only for her. "From today," Obi's mother announced, "Adana will handle all household chores. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, everything. Ngozi must rest. She carries precious cargo, a son, the future of the Okafor family." "I don't want her cooking my food," Ngozi said petulantly. "Who knows what evil she might put in it? A barren woman is always jealous." "I'm not barren," Adana said quietly. "I have 2 daughters." "Daughters?" Ngozi spat the word. "Daughters are nothing. They don't count. I will give this family what you never could. Sons. Multiple sons." Over the following weeks, Adana's life became a waking nightmare. She woke at 4 a.m. to fetch water, prepare breakfast, and clean the main house before Ngozi woke up. The young woman treated her worse than a servant, forcing her to kneel when serving food, making her taste everything first to ensure it's not poisoned, sending her on endless errands under the hot sun. "Adana, this soup is too salty. Are you trying to harm my baby? Make it again." "Adana, my feet are swollen. Come massage them." "Adana, your ugly daughters are making noise. Keep them quiet or send them away." Obi not only allowed it, he encouraged it. Whenever Adana showed the slightest hesitation, he would grab her arm roughly, his fingers leaving bruises. "You're lucky we even let you stay here," he hissed during one such moment. "One more complaint from Ngozi and you're out. Understand?" Her own family came to visit, horrified by what they saw. "Adana, this is madness," her brother Emmanuel pleaded. "Come home. Papa said you and the girls are welcome. And be labeled a failed wife? Have my daughters grow up with that stigma?" Adana shook her head. "I can endure this." "Until when?" "Until they kill you." 4 months into Ngozi's residence, the traditional diviners came to confirm the baby's gender. They performed rituals through cowries, consulted the oracle, and declared with certainty, "A strong male child. He will be a great warrior." The celebration lasted 3 days. Adana cooked for over 100 guests, while Ngozi sat like a queen, receiving gifts and praises. "Finally, a real woman in this house," guests proclaimed. "Not like that other one who only knows how to produce girls." Adana swallowed every insult, every mockery, every degradation. For her daughters, only for her daughters. But then came the day everything changed. Kayamika had accidentally spilled water near Ngozi's door. The pregnant woman emerged, screaming insults, and before Adana could reach her daughter, Ngozi slapped the 5-year-old across the face. "Stupid child, useless like your mother." Kayamika's scream pierced Adana's heart. She rushed to her daughter, pulling her into her arms, rage finally breaking through her careful submission. "Don't you ever touch my child again." Ngozi smiled wickedly. "Obi, come see how your useless old wife is threatening me and our son." Obi emerged from the house, his face already twisted with anger. "What's going on here?" "She slapped our daughter," Adana said, holding the sobbing Kayamika. "A grown woman slapped a 5-year-old child. The child is clumsy and disrespectful, just like her mother," Ngozi said, rubbing her belly for effect. "She almost made me fall." Obi's eyes went cold. Without warning, his hand swung, connecting with Adana's face with a crack that echoed across the compound. Adana fell, still clutching Kayamika. Blood trickled from her lip. "How dare you raise your voice in my house?" Obi stood over her, fist raised for another blow. "You are nothing here. Ngozi is carrying my son, my heir. If she says the sky is green, you agree. If she says your daughters are disrespectful, you discipline them. Understand?" Lil Chidima toddled over, crying, "Mama, Mama," while Kayamika sobbed against Adana's chest. Adana looked up at the man she had loved, the man who had once promised to honor and protect her, and saw only a stranger, a cruel stranger who would beat her in front of their children to please another woman. Something broke inside her, not her spirit, but her last chain to this place. "I understand," she whispered. That night, after everyone slept, Adana packed a small bag with her daughter's clothes and her few remaining possessions. She had 15,000 naira saved from selling her old jewelry, enough for transport and a few days' food. She looked one last time at the main house, at the life she'd built and lost. Then she picked up sleeping Chidinma, took Kayamika's hand, and walked out of the compound, into the darkness, into uncertainty, into freedom. She finally left, but where will she go with 2 small children and almost no money? Will Obi come after her? Comment freedom if you're proud of Adana's courage. Like this video and subscribe for next chapter, where Adana meets someone unexpected who will change your life forever. Hit that notification bell. You do not want to miss what happens next. The Eek market in Enugu was a chaos of colors, sounds, and smells. Adana had found a small room to rent. One room with a shared bathroom and kitchen. Nothing like the spacious house she left behind. But it was hers. No one would slap her daughters here. No one would mock her for having girls. 3 months had passed since she fled. 3 months of grinding poverty and relentless work. She woke at 4 a.m. to fry akra by the roadside. By 8 a.m., she was at Mama Ngozi's restaurant, washing dishes. By 2 p.m., she helped at the market, carrying loads for traders. By evening, she returned to her akra stand until 9 p.m. Kayamaka and Chidinma stayed with a kind neighbor, Mama Chike, who charged very little for childcare because she pitied them. Adana, your hands! Ifioma had visited last week, horrified at the burns and cuts. You're killing yourself. I'm surviving, Adana corrected, stirring the bean paste. My daughters eat every day. They're safe. That's what matters. Obi had sent his brothers to look for her initially, but she'd hidden well. Eventually, they stopped. He had his precious son-to-be. Why would he want the wife who'd failed him? It was a Saturday afternoon when everything changed. Adana was at the market, having just finished selling the last of her akra, when she heard children crying. 3 children stood near the yam cellar stall, clearly lost and frightened. The youngest, a boy of about 4, was wailing loudly. Shoo! Shoo! Adana knelt down, her motherly instincts taking over. Where is your papa? Your mama? Mama is dead. The oldest, a girl about 7, said with heartbreaking matter-of-factness. Papa brought us to market, but we got lost. Adana's heart squeezed. She knew that pain, motherless children, though hers still had her. At least, what's your papa's name? Chief Emeka Okonkwo. The middle child, a boy of 6, sniffled. Adana knew that name. Everyone in Enugu did. Chief Emeka was a wealthy businessman, a member of the Ndiichi, a man of honor and influence. His wife had died in childbirth 6 months ago. The whole town had mourned. Shinanso, Adiz, Obiora. A deep voice boomed across the market. A tall man rushed toward them, his face etched with panic and relief. He wore a simple senator outfit, but his bearing screamed authority and wealth. This was Chief Emeka. Papa. The children ran to him, and he knelt, gathering all 3 in his arms, his eyes squeezed shut in gratitude. Then he looked up and saw Adana. Their eyes met, and something inexplicable passed between them. Recognition of shared pain, perhaps. The understanding of one wounded soul. Seeing another. Thank you, he said, standing with the youngest boy in his arms. Thank you for watching them. In this market, anything could have happened. They're children, Adana said simply. Any mother would do the same. You have children? 2 daughters, 5 and 3 years old. Chief Emeka nodded, then reached into his pocket and pulled out money, at least 20,000 naira. Please accept this. As thanks. No, Adana stepped back. I didn't help them for money, Chief. I helped them because they needed help. He stared at her as if she were a strange creature. In his world, everyone wanted something. At least tell me your name. Adana Okafor. She paused. Well, soon to be just Adana. I'm divorcing. Over the next 2 months, Chief Emeka kept appearing at the market. First, he came to buy yams, though his housekeeper certainly did his shopping. Then he came for vegetables. Then for akra from Adana's stand, though it was far from his usual route. You make the best akra in Enugu, he said one evening, buying 10 wraps. Chief, that's too much. I have 3 children. They eat like termites. He smiled, and Adana noticed how it softened his whole face. And please call me Emeka. Gradually, conversations grew longer. He learned about her failed marriage, though she spared him the worst details. She learned about his late wife, Amara, whom he'd loved deeply. People tell me to remarry quickly, he confided one evening. They say the children need a mother, but I can't just pick any woman. Amara was special. The next woman I marry must be someone of character, someone who will love my children as her own. You'll find her, Adana said softly. A good man like you deserves a good wife. And a good woman like you deserves a good husband, he replied, his eyes intense. Not a fool who would reject you for having daughters instead of sons. Their friendship deepened. He began bringing his children to play with Kayamaka and Chidinma. The 5 children bonded quickly, and Adana's small room would fill with their laughter. Emeka noticed everything. How gently Adana corrected his children, how she shared her small portions of food to ensure all 5 children ate well, how she sang them to sleep with Igbo lullabies. Adana, he said one evening after the children had fallen asleep, I want to ask you something, but I don't want to offend you. Her heart raced. What is it? Would you consider? I know it's soon and you're still healing, but... He took a breath. I'm not asking you to marry me today. I'm asking permission to court you properly, to see if perhaps we could build something together. A family, not based on obligations or expectations, but on mutual respect and care. Adana's eyes filled with tears. Emeka, I come with baggage. 2 daughters, an unfinished divorce, poverty, a reputation as a failed wife who couldn't produce sons. You come with 2 beautiful children whom I've already grown to love, he interrupted. You come with dignity, strength, kindness, and faith. You come with everything I've been praying for. My daughters will be my daughters too if you accept me. I don't care about male or female children. I have 2 sons and a daughter already. Children are blessings. Adana, all of them. She wept then, and he held her hand gently, respectfully. I need time, she whispered. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. Meanwhile, back at Obi's compound, preparations for the baby's arrival had reached fever pitch. Ngozi was now 8 months pregnant, her belly enormous, her demands even more outrageous. The nursery was painted blue. Male names had been chosen. Traditional ceremonies had been performed. Obi strutted around the village like a peacock. My son is coming. The Okafor heir. His mother commissioned a new wrapper with Eneni NWA Nwoke, mother of a male child, embroidered on it, ready for the naming ceremony. No one mentioned Adana anymore. She was forgotten, erased, replaced, exactly as they'd wanted. But in Enugu, in a small room filled with laughter and love, Adana was slowly healing. And in Chief Emeka's presence, she was beginning to believe that perhaps God hadn't forgotten her after all. Perhaps her story wasn't over. Perhaps it was just beginning. 3 months later, Adana accepted Emeka's proposal. The traditional marriage was simple, but filled with genuine joy. His family welcomed her and her daughters with open arms. His mother embraced her, saying, "A woman who can love children that aren't hers is a woman with a pure heart." On their wedding night, as Adana lay beside her new husband in their beautiful home, she thought of Obi and Ngozi. Tomorrow was Ngozi's due date. Tomorrow, the miracle son would arrive. Tomorrow, the lies would begin to unravel. But tonight, Adana was finally home. Adana found love. Chief Emeka is a husband she deserved. But what about Ngozi's baby? Comment God's timing. If you believe everything happens for a reason, smash that like button and subscribe for next chapter, where the truth is revealed at the traditional ceremony. The baby arrives, but what happens next will shock you. Turn on notifications. This is the chapter you've been waiting for. The news reached Adana on a bright Tuesday morning, 3 weeks after her wedding to Chief Emeka. Her younger sister called, voice trembling with barely suppressed excitement. Adana, you won't believe what happened. Ngozi gave birth. Adana was plaiting Adi's hair, surrounded by all 5 children playing in their spacious compound. She felt nothing, no jealousy, no pain, just distant curiosity. A boy? She asked calmly. Yes, they say it's a boy. The whole village has been celebrating for 2 days. Obi's mother is dancing in the streets, calling herself Eneni NWA Nwoke. They've scheduled the IWA NWA ceremony for this Saturday. Adana's hand stilled. IWA NWA, the traditional ceremony to confirm a child's paternity and welcome them into the Okafor lineage. It was an ancient ritual, one that had been practiced in Obi's family for generations. Chief Emeka, who had been listening, placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Are you all right? I'm fine, she said honestly. That part of my life is over. But her sister wasn't finished. Adana, there's something else. They're saying terrible things about you at the ceremony planning. Obi's mother told everyone you were cursed, that you were a witch who couldn't produce sons. She's using Ngozi's baby as proof that the problem was always you. For the first time, anger flickered in Adana's chest. Not for herself. She was beyond their reach now. But for her daughters, who might grow up hearing these lies. Let them talk, she said quietly. The truth always reveals itself. Saturday arrived with fanfare, at the Okafor compound. The baby, named Chukwemeka, God has done well, was dressed in expensive lace and coral beads. Ngozi sat like a queen, accepting praises and gifts, her face glowing with triumph. Obi had never looked prouder. He held his son with reverence, showing him off to every visitor. This is my heir, the child I've been waiting for, the one who will carry my name forward. His mother organized the ceremony with military precision. She had invited the oldest Dibi in the village, Ease Nri, a man whose spiritual powers were legendary and feared. The IWNWA ceremony had specific requirements: prayers to the ancestors, presentation of the child to the earth goddess Allah, and the sacred test, a ritual that had never been wrong in confirming whether a child truly belonged to the Okafor bloodline. Our ancestors protect this family. Obi's uncle explained to the gathered crowd. Any child born of foreign blood will be rejected by the spirits. It is our way of maintaining the purity of our lineage. The ceremony began at noon. The Dibi arrived, ancient and terrifying, carrying his divination bag filled with sacred objects. He wore white cloth and cowries, his eyes clouded with age but sharp with spiritual sight. "Bring the child," he commanded. Ngozi hesitated for the first time, clutching baby Chukwemeka tighter. "Is this really necessary? Can't we just do the naming ceremony?" "Are you afraid?" Obi's mother snapped. "This is tradition. Every Okafor child must undergo IWNWA. Reluctantly, Ngozi handed over the baby. The Dibia prepared his rituals, spreading white chalk, pouring libations, calling upon the ancestors. He placed the baby on a sacred mat woven generations ago, one that had tested hundreds of Okafor children. "Spirits of our fathers," the Dibia chanted, "reveal the truth of this child's blood." He sprinkled sacred herbs over the baby and began the incantations. At first, nothing happened. The baby cooed peacefully, and Obi's family smiled with relief. Then the baby's face contorted. He began to cry, not a normal infant cry, but a piercing, agonized wail that made everyone's blood run cold. "What's happening?" Ngozi shrieked, trying to reach her child. "Stand back," the Dibia commanded. "The spirits are speaking." The baby's cries grew worse. His small body trembled violently, his face turning an alarming shade of red. Foam appeared at his mouth. "Stop it. You're killing him," Ngozi screamed. The Dibia's face had gone grim. This child carries foreign blood. The ancestors reject him." "Lies!" Obi shouted. "That's my son, my heir." "The spirits do not lie," the Dibia said coldly. He lifted the sacred mat, and everyone gasped. Where the baby had lain, the white cloth had turned dark red, a sign of deception, of bloodline pollution. "No!" Obi's mother collapsed to her knees. "Check again. There must be a mistake." But the Dibia was already packing his divination tools. "There's no mistake. This child is not of Okafor blood. You have welcomed a stranger's son into your lineage." Chaos erupted. Obi grabbed Ngozi by her shoulders, shaking her. "What is this? What have you done?" "I don't know. I swear, Chukwemeka is your son." Ngozi was hysterical, but her eyes darted around like a trapped animal. "Test her blood. Test the child's blood," someone shouted. Within hours, a doctor had been summoned. DNA samples were taken from Obi, Ngozi, and baby Chukwemeka. The waiting period was torture. 3 days later, the results came. In Obi's packed sitting room, the doctor opened the envelope with ceremonial slowness. "According to this DNA test," he read, "there is 0% probability that Mr. Obi Okafor is the biological father of the child known as Chukwemeka." The room exploded. Obi's face turned purple with rage. "Whose child is it?" Ngozi was sobbing uncontrollably, mascara streaming down her face. "Whose?" Obi roared, grabbing her. "Tons," she finally whispered. "My ex-boyfriend, Tons." The confession hit like a bomb. "Your ex-boyfriend?" Obi's mother screamed. "You brought another man's bastard into my family? You made us celebrate a stranger's son. I was already pregnant when I met you." Ngozi sobbed. "But Tun had no money, no future. You were rich, successful. I thought I could make it work. The dates were close enough. I thought no one would know. You thought. Obi slapped her across the face, the same way he'd slapped Adana months before. I divorced my wife. I threw away my family. I spent millions on this pregnancy, all for another man's child. His uncles restrained him before he could hit her again. Get out, Obi's mother said, her voice deadly quiet. Pack your things and get out of my house. Take your bastard son with you. But I have nowhere to go. That is not our problem, the old woman shrieked. You are a disgrace, a deceiver. You have brought shame upon this family. As Ngozi was being dragged out, screaming and pleading, Obi stood in the center of his compound, surrounded by mocking guests and disappointed family members. Everything he'd sacrificed, his marriage, his daughters, his reputation, his wealth spent on this pregnancy, all of it was for a lie. The village erupted with gossip. Within days, everyone knew Obi Okafor, the man who divorced his wife for not giving him sons, had been raising another man's child. The irony was delicious, and the mockery was merciless. Where's Adana now? People whispered. The one he called cursed? I heard she married Chief Emeka Okonkwo. Chief Emeka? The honorable businessman? That Adana. Yes, and he treats her daughters like gold. He says all children are blessings. The whispers reached Obi's ears, and they burned like acid. Adana, poor, rejected, cursed Adana, was now married to one of the most respected men in Enugu, while he was a laughingstock of 3 villages. Justice, it seemed, had a sense of humor. The truth is out. Ngozi's deception exposed. Did you see that coming? Comment karma is real if you love this twist. Like and subscribe for the final chapter, where we see Obi's regret and Adana's ultimate triumph. Will Obi beg for forgiveness? How will this story end? Hit that notification bell. You need to see the conclusion. 6 months after the scandal, 2 very different celebrations were being prepared in Enugu. At Chief Emeka's palatial compound, workers erected canopies and strung lights for a grand Thanksgiving ceremony. Adana was 4 months pregnant, and though they didn't know the baby's gender yet, the entire household buzzed with genuine joy. Mama, will the baby be a boy or a girl? Little Kayamika asked, helping to arrange flowers. Adana smiled, one hand on her growing belly. I don't know, my dear, but whichever God gives us will be perfect. Chief Emeka overheard and pulled his wife close. Boy or girl, this child will be loved equally, just like all of you. He gestured to the 5 children playing in the compound, his 3 her 2, now simply their 5. The children had bonded so completely that strangers couldn't tell which belonged to whom. And that's exactly how Emeka wanted it. Meanwhile, across town in his now quiet compound, Obi sat alone. His mother had stopped speaking to him, blaming him for the family's disgrace. His uncles avoided him at gatherings. Business associates distanced themselves. Even his friends made jokes at his expense. The house felt enormous and empty. The blue-painted nursery remained closed, a monument to his foolishness. Ngozi had disappeared back to her village with baby Chukwamika, and he'd heard Tund had accepted the child, though grudgingly. But it was a silence that tortured Obi most. The absence of Kayamika's laughter, Chidinma's babbling, and Adana's gentle presence. He destroyed his family for a lie. That Saturday, Chief Emeka's Thanksgiving ceremony drew half of Enugu. Politicians came, businessmen, clergy, traditional rulers, all to celebrate with the honorable chief and his beloved wife. Adana wore elegant traditional attire, her pregnancy giving her a radiant glow. She moved through the crowd with grace, introducing her daughters with pride. These are my daughters, Kayamika and Chidinma, she told guests. And these are also my children, Shinanso, Obiora, and Adiz. God has blessed me with 5 beautiful children. No differentiation. No stepchildren. Just children. During the ceremony, Chief Emeka stood to address the gathering. I want to tell you all about my wife, he began, his voice carrying across the compound. When I met Adana, she was struggling. She had been rejected by a foolish man who valued gender over character, tradition over love, pride over family. The crowd murmured, many knowing exactly who he meant. That man threw away a treasure because he was hunting for fool's gold. He wanted a son so badly that he forgot the value of the daughters he already had. He wanted an heir so desperately that he accepted a lie as truth. Emeka took Adana's hand, but his loss became my gain. Adana brought not just herself into my life, but two incredible daughters who have filled my home with joy. She loved my children as her own from the first day. She is the mother my children needed, the wife I prayed for, and the woman who taught me that blessings come in many forms. He turned to face the crowd fully. Let me say this loudly for those in the back. A real man is not defined by how many sons he has. A real man is defined by how he treats his family, all of his family. Sons, daughters, wives, all are precious. All are blessings from God. The compound erupted in applause. Any man who rejects his child because of gender is not a man at all. He is a fool. And any family that pressures a woman for male children have forgotten that women themselves are born from women. To devalue daughters is to devalue your own mothers, sisters, and wives. More applause, louder this time. At the back of the gathering, unnoticed, stood Obi. He had come uninvited, unable to resist seeing what had become of the wife he'd discarded. Now he watched as she stood beside a man who honored her, surrounded by children who adored her, celebrated by a community that respected her. Everything he'd lost. After the ceremony, as guests were dining, Obi gathered the courage to approach. Adana, he called softly. She turned, and for a moment, he saw a surprise flash across her face. Then it settled into calm neutrality. Obi, can we talk? Please. Chief Emeka appeared at his wife's side immediately, protective but not aggressive. Is there a problem? No problem. Adana said gently, touching her husband's arm. Give me a moment. They stepped aside, away from the celebration. Obi looked terrible. Weight lost, eyes hollow, the arrogance completely drained from him. I came to apologize, he began, his voice breaking. I know it's too late. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I need you to hear this. Adana said nothing, just waited. I was a fool. Worse than a fool, I was cruel. I listened to my family's poison instead of remembering my vows to you. I chased after what I thought I needed and lost everything that actually mattered. Tears streamed down his face. Kayamika and Chidinma, are they well? They're wonderful, Adana said. They have a father who loves them, siblings who cherish them, and a home filled with respect and joy. The words hit Obi like physical blows. I threw them away, my own children, because they were girls. Yes, you did. I see them sometimes, from a distance. Kayamika looks so much like you, and Chidinma has grown so big. His voice cracked. They don't even remember me, do they? Kayamika has vague memories. Chidinma was too young. Adana's voice was gentle but firm. They call Emeka Papa now. He earned that title through love and consistency. I deserve that pain, Obi acknowledged. But Adana, I need you to know I understand now. Children are not trophies or gender markers. They're human beings, precious souls. And I destroyed my family because I forgot that. What do you want from me, Obi? Nothing, he said quickly. I don't want anything. I just wanted you to know that you were right. You were always right. And I'm sorry. I'm so deeply, terribly sorry. Adana studied him for a long moment. I forgive you, Obi. His head snapped up in shock. Not because you deserve it, she continued, but because holding on to anger would poison my happiness. I forgive you so I can be free. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. That part of my life is over. I understand, he whispered. Will you tell the girls that their father is sorry when they're older? If they ask about you, I'll tell them the truth, that you made terrible choices, but eventually recognize your mistakes. What they do with that information will be up to them. Before Obi could respond, little Kayamika ran up. Mama, Papa says it's time to cut the cake. She looked at Obi with no recognition, just polite curiosity about a stranger. I'm coming, sweetheart, Adana said, then turned back to Obi. Go home. Rebuild your life. Learn from this. And if you ever have more children, sons or daughters, love them equally. She walked back to her celebration, her daughter's hand in hers, toward the husband who waited with open arms. Obi stood alone, watching the family he destroyed now thriving without him. 3 months later, Adana gave birth. Chief Emeka held the baby in the delivery room, tears streaming down his face. "It's a girl," the doctor announced. "A healthy, beautiful baby girl. Another daughter." Emeka kissed his wife's forehead, then the baby's. "We are blessed. Kayemeka, Chidinma, Adiz, and now you, for daughters. God is too good." The older children crowded around to see their new sister. "What will we name her?" Shinanso asked. Adana looked at her husband, her children, her new daughter, and felt overwhelming gratitude. "Ifioma," she said. "It means good thing." Because every child, boy or girl, is a good thing. The naming ceremony was joyful and simple. No pressure, no gender preferences, no toxic traditions. Just a family celebrating new life. News of the birth reached Obi, now living alone and working to rebuild his reputation. Another daughter. Adana had given Chief Emeka a 4th daughter, and the chief had celebrated like she'd given him the world, because in his eyes, she had. Obi finally understood what he'd been too blind to see. The problem was never Adana's ability to have sons. The problem was his inability to value daughters. And that realization came too late. As he sat in his empty house, he thought about the family he destroyed and the lesson he'd learned through devastating loss. Every child is a blessing. Every child deserves love. And a real man's legacy isn't determined by the gender of his children, but by the content of his character. Adana had tried to teach him this with patience and endurance. Life had taught him through pain and loss. Some lessons, it seemed, could only be learned the hard way. The end. What a journey. From rejection to redemption. From tears to triumph. Did this story touch your heart? Comment, "Every child is a blessing," if you believe it. Discussion questions. Should Adana have forgiven Obi? What would you have done in her situation? Do you know someone facing similar cultural pressure? What's the most important lesson from this story? If this story moved you, smash that like button. Subscribe for more powerful African stories that teach life lessons. Share this with someone who needs to hear this message. Loudspeaker important message. In many cultures, preference for male children still exists. But every child, boy or girl, is equally valuable, equally precious, equally deserving of love. Your worth is not determined by your gender. Your children's value is not determined by their gender. Let's break these toxic traditions together. Thank you for watching. Which character did you relate to most? Let us know in the comments. Stay blessed, and remember, treat people right, because karma is always watching. Next story poll. What should we tell next? Comment. A equals wicked mother-in-law gets exposed. B equals poor man becomes billionaire. Rejects gold digger X. C equals childless couple adopts. Biological parents return. See you in the next story.